the now. But I wanted to start by saying something that probably noticed today because I got here about 7 or 8 minutes after 10. And that is that I've always struggled with the concept of time. Minutes and hours. I always feel like I have more than I actually do. I always feel like I can get more done in a short amount of time than I can, and it stretches over, and then the clock starts, and then I get stressed, and then but it's not just minutes and hours. I really kind of struggle with the whole idea of months and years too. I've said it feels like time is an illusion to me, because my kids are 23 and they were just 5 or 6 a couple weeks ago. And I certainly don't feel like I'm gonna be 71 in March. I feel like I'm maybe late 20s, early 30s, and then I'll look at in the mirror and I go, oh, wrong. But you know, I mentally I feel that. So this whole thing of time is a struggle for me. I remember one of my professors and I'm saying, you know, I'm not trying to make excuses up front, but I'll tell you, I can't tell you how many day planners I have that the first month is pretty filled out and then it just fades into nothing. And I find it when I'm at the car wash vacuuming my car out and it's under the car seat. Okay, that's just how my brain works, which drives other people crazy. It doesn't allow for much advanced planning. And my wife will go, what are you doing? I mean, we're in November now. What are we doing, like March, such and such? And she might as well ask me to speak Russian because I don't even know. And I was telling a friend of mine this, and he goes, you know, I understand. He said, you know, from listen to him saying, he said, for me, it's like there's this coming weekend. There's the week right after that. There's the weekend that you can kind of see, and after that, it just fades into fog. Concept of time is really hard for me. However, I'm going to come back to that. It doesn't prevent me from doing crazy things with time. So I've always struggled with time. And focus. I've always struggled with focus. I don't think I ever got better than a C in what do they call it on your report card as a kid? In behavior. Like, what is it? There's a word for it. It's not coming to me right now. Now that's how I know I'm on the 7th one. Yeah, conduct.
Yeah.
And then I got better than a C in conduct because I would sit in class and start to fidget and just I could not be present. And I notice these days I struggle with focus as well. I've actually taken medication for it from time to time, and it helps a little bit, but really, I think it's just a brain style that I share with some people and probably not with as many other people. But I can say that I struggled with focus sitting in class because I was always thinking about recess and playtime and getting home and reading. And anything that was going on right there is something that I didn't really enjoy, so I didn't stick around. Avoidance. I've always struggled with avoidance because if this is unpleasant, I would rather be somewhere else. And if I can't be somewhere else physically, I will definitely be somewhere else mentally. What comes to mind is the Billy Pilgrim character in Slaughterhouse 5, who becomes unstuck in time and can just time travel back and forth. And never read that book, it's well worthwhile. But the idea of thinking about the past, and in just the same couple of minutes, I'm thinking about the future. And I've introduced myself to this group before as hi, I'm Stan, I'm a time traveler. I don't know if anybody identifies with that, but I can zoom back and forth pretty quickly in one setting. And so it behooves me to concentrate and try to improve my ability to be in the now. And Eckhart Tolle wrote that book some years ago about the power of now. And it's an aspiration of mine to be more present and in the now. I've shared this in here before too. As a time traveler, when I'm spending too much time in the past, my focus typically is on the disappointments, on my mistakes, all my should haves. I should have said something. Should have said something, should have stepped up and said something then. Maybe more times it's, I shouldn't have said that. Shouldn't have said that to that person. But my past reflections are always about regrets and disappointments, etc. And if truth be told, if I spend too much time back there, I can feel a little bit of depression. I just feel kind of regretful and depressed. I've shared this with you before, but one of my favorite cartoons is a guy that's lying in bed wide awake at 3 in the morning. You know it's 3 o'clock in the morning because you see it on his alarm clock. He's lying there wide awake and there are these word balloons around his head. And he's saying, in the word balloon, it says, hey, do you remember that time you peed your pants in 2nd grade? Do you remember that time that you dropped the winning touchdown pass? Do you remember that time that you felt silly in front of everybody in the classroom? And so all these word balloons are these things, and the bottom underneath it is Ralph is beginning to regret purchasing his memory foam mattress. I live on memory foam. So it's incumbent upon me to really kind of go, yeah. Am I the only person that will have this idea? I go, oh, I can't, I'll have something I said or did or didn't do or some behavior that, and then I'll be going, God, I can't believe it. Oh my God. And it's like from 9th grade. Yeah. 9th grade. If I'd only, a friend of mine said, you know, if you have the phone leads, you'll never get better. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, if only if you're stuck in the phone leads, you'll never, ever be able to be in the now. But I have that. And I think that's part of the human condition too. So, and I go back to the past like that. If only I'd done that, but therein lies kind of a depressive way for me to be. The other is if I zoom into the future too much, gotta have some planning, right? But if I zoom into the future too much, that's when I start to stress out and worry. And I've come to understand that, at least for me, I don't know about you guys, but when I'm doing that, it's all about control. I'm trying to make sure that life unfolds exactly the way I want it to, and I think it should. Often I'm surprised that it doesn't. I don't know why. After all these years, you would think you get used to that concept. But the idea of it's out there and it's in the future and I need to manage it, and it's kind of stressy and it makes me worried and it makes me anxious, and now I've got anxiety, and all of a sudden I realize I struggle with anxiety and depression because I'm a time traveler. And I forgot to be right here, right now. I know you've heard that Mark Twain quote about suffering many, many tragedies in the future, some of which actually happen. But I worry about all these things so much. It feels like they're happening now, but they never do. But sometimes they do. I had a mother-in-law. I've shared this with you too. Had a mother-in-law, had my first mother-in-law, said that nothing that she worries about ever happens. And then with a degree of joy, she says, so it's working. It's working. So, to quote Eckhart Tolle, unease, anxiety, tension, stress, worry, all forms of fear are caused by me spending too much time in the future and not enough in the present. Guilt, regret, resentment, grievances, sadness, bitterness, all forms of non-forgiveness were caused by too much past, not enough presence. So I'd like to kind of explore this a little bit from this point of view. One of the things for me is forgiveness. That often quoted idea that me forgiving myself means letting go of ever having had a perfect past. That was so powerful the first time I heard it. Forgiving myself means letting go of a perfect past. It's so important that I began to really internalize that. And remember, I was doing the best I could. Everybody else doing the best they could. Everybody else lying in bed on their memory mattress. Wishing they'd done something different. We're all in the same canoe. Get over it, Stan. Just be here now. So forgiveness is part of it. And then this whole idea, I was here, last time I was here talking about the Sermon on the Mount, I think. That idea of even biblically being told, there's plenty to work about today. Just navigating today. Don't borrow troubles from the future. Just be here today. Which is a segue I want to move into. This idea of one day at a time. When I was working with those folks in early recovery, it was like this. One day at a time. I'm not going to do whatever it is. One day at a time. And after a while, that kind of relaxes. Right? It's not, I'm trying to not do something one day at a time, but rather I'm getting used to the idea that all I have is today. And I can manage anything today. It's a really profound way to begin to live. A day at a time. So, self-forgiveness, living in the present, practicing awareness that I'm even doing this, having the discipline to recognize that I'm doing it and letting go of all of that, but also having the discipline to actually sit down and answer my wife's question and say, I don't know about April, but if you tell me what we're supposed to be doing in April, I'll try to put it in my calendar on my phone and put a warning, an alarm on it, and I'll get better at this. But as it is, it feels often like my life is the end of a garden hose. Just too much self-revelation. Does anybody identify with this? It's just wrong. So I got these cool cards from the Power of Now. I use them in therapeutic situations, but I wanted to share some of them with you this morning. Because these are little words of wisdom from that book. concepts and ideas about how to begin to practice this. Here's a question. How do I stop creating time? Which is an interesting idea. Because if I stop worrying about past and future and all that, I'm just here right now. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life. I have to be consciously choosing that every day. It says enlightenment, consciously chosen, means to relinquish your attachment to the past and the future, and to make the now the main focus of life. Here's the result of that. I give up waiting, because part of the idea of time for me, I'm waiting for it to get better. I just do this, it gets better. When I get to that certain place, it's going to be better. When I get to that certain thing, it will be better. And I think there's some mild bit of truth in that. But if I'm always delaying the fact that I'm happy now, I'm never going to be happy, because I'm waiting all the time to get that thing out there. When you catch yourself slipping into waiting, snap out of it. Come into the present moment, just be and enjoy being. If you're present, there is never any need for you to wait for anything. And the result of that, Eckhart Tolle writes, whereas before you dwelt always in time and paid brief visits to now and paid brief visits to the now, have your dwelling place in the now, and pay brief visits to the past and future when required to deal with the practical aspects of your situation. Why is all of this so important? Why is it so important for me to be healthy and happy in the present and in the now? Thich Nhat Hanh writes, life is only available in the present moment. If you abandon the present moment, the coming moment of your life will be missed. Finally, I think this is why it's even more important for us to be doing these things. Meditation, awareness, just like that ringing of this bell, bringing me into the present, doing that, not focusing, not time traveling, just being present. It's because my today and how I focus on this really does, in some ways, begin to reshape my past and how I perceive it. And it defines my future for me in a different way. So, right here, right now, there was a George Carlin bit. I don't know if you ever remember seeing him do that. He'd go, hold on, wait a second. Here it comes, here it comes. There it went. Present. But we're always in the constant need to, here it comes, there it comes, there it went. And then there's another one, and there's another one, and another one. And my hope is that by sharing this information this morning, and we'll be hopefully identifying with the struggles that each of us have, that we all begin to try to apply the practice of today, day at a time, staying present in the now as the way to really be comfortable in our lives. Retire that time traveler uniform to be present.